Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
Hey guys, I'm Matt from Fellowship. You are watching the Brutally Delicious podcast.
What's up, everybody? I'm Dark Macek with Brutally Delicious. I am here with Matt from Fellowship. Hey, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Tired, but good.
Oh, same. I mean, I'm way more jet lagged than you are, guaranteed. But
that's true. That is definitely true.
Hey,
how long was your journey?
The flight itself was 8 hours, but it was 7 p.m. New York time until 9 a.m. Denmark time.
Oh, that's rough. We drove for 25 in one sitting.
What the fuck? Okay, never mind. Yes, I have the whole jet lag thing, but holy shit, that's insane.
It was a stupid choice.
Like, wait, do you go Channel and then east?
We did. Except by a ferry instead of Channel.
Oh, all right.
But we drove from France.
Yes.
The corner of France to Denmark.
Okay,
well, great.
You can kvetch some. When I say here, by the by, we are at Epic Fest in Roskilde, Denmark. Very roundabout way of getting to that. So, okay, you have far more reason to be tired than I do. I just had to power through yesterday.
Guys, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have they brought food by right now?
Not a clue, sorry.
The guy who was in the bar before?
No, I didn't.
Shit.
The life of a fucking festival.
Well, at least. Keep moving, and I don't fall asleep.
Sorry about that. Casual, hazards of the job, as you call them. I'm way too tired to think of witticisms right now. So, okay. The Skies Above Eternity, released November 22nd.
So it did.
I was at the show. We talked the day after you announced it. Has reception been good besides from us?
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be a kind of a weird album to release because the first one was so beloved that the expectations for number 2 were simultaneously really high and also through the floor because people were like, they're not going to do that twice. And we didn't really want to do it twice. We didn't look at this album as a sequel or a sort of second version of Saberlight. We wanted to do something slightly different with it while staying within the Fellowship idea. And we think we achieved that. The reception has been very, very good. It's a little darker in places lyrically. And we're super happy with it. And all of the feedback has been really, really positive.
So you just said, I think, exactly what I thought when I listened to it. And it was my album of the year, just to, heap some praise. Sorry. It's been too long since I've had a dick in my mouth. I thought Callum was going to be offensive. I thought it sounded like Fellowship, even though it didn't sound like a repeat. There's some like guiding ethos to the band. That was
exactly what we were aiming for. So that's really, we really appreciate you saying. Thank you.
Tremendous effort. I thought it's still I'm just going to keep saying the same thing. But what exactly is that? I could tell you what I think, but what makes Fellowship Fellowship?
Oh, isn't that a question for the ages? I think the songwriting starts with the music every single time. And I think for me what defines the Fellowship sound is that the happiness or the dominant emotion of the music as it is when it exists on its own is what makes the lyrical content come out. It's very, all of the lyrics, all of the ideas of Fellowship narratively are married to where the music comes from. So the music never starts with an emotional idea. It never begins with I've always been worthy. That comes out of the music, and I very much look at the music as something that sort of feeds the lyrical inspiration for the band, and try to do that very consciously, if that makes sense. And I personally, for me, that's what I think defines it. For Cal, might just say happy tunes. So, you know.
Totally. So I was expecting some answer on the lines of, yeah, we're really influenced by X and Y, but no, it's just...
I mean, we are. Like, Cal really likes to...
Are you serious? When I first reviewed Saberlight Chronicles, took me a second, sorry, 3 years ago, the first thing I said was, it sounds like Twilight Force if they'd been to therapy or something. Maybe it was like that, but it was like just a lot less about dragons and a lot more about like mental health. That's usually how I sell you to friends that didn't get to see live last year. Wait, so is Twilight Force the main?
Twilight Force, Majestica, Stradivarius on the music side, and then for me it's like completely separate. It's like fully outside of power metal. You're looking at genuinely musical theatre. Things like Moron Police, Agent Fresco, so like prog metal, and those more emotional prog bands that are very like, people won't necessarily know Agent Fresco, but like they're just like very emotions at the front of everything. And very like, they don't hide the emotions behind technical language or anything like that. They're just like, I always feel like a victim, and it's just there. Yeah. And they do flower it up sometimes, just as I do. Lyricism is lyricism. Lyrics are always like...
Wasn't that literally the chorus line? Now I always feel like a victim. Okay.
And we just wanted to like smash those two things together. Happy tunes from like those bands that are our inspirations with emotions at the front rather than goblins and narrative at the front. That's the big difference. Huh.
Do you write the vocal melodies or just the lyrics?
I mess with the vocal melodies. Some of the songs, like I wrote Saints in its entirety with Sam, the guitarist, but like all of the sort of melodies are mine. He really helped me with the guitars because I can't arrange to save my life. All of the lyrics are mine, and then Cal will send me vocal melodies, and I will annoy him to death by editing them and messing with them until we get something that eventually we're both happy with.
When I was like in college, I always thought the mishmash of, and I didn't work forward here, I more like heard the band and then described it this way. If you had to do like musical theater metal, two names came to mind, and it turns out they're actually the same band. I didn't know it. Sabotage was the one that I thought of, and then they later turned into Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but that's kind of unfair. But you're saying like musical theater is one of your big inspirations. Like were you a big like West End kid? So when I was 17, I was scouted by the CEO of Opera UK, which is the biggest like opera agency in the United Kingdom. And though I did like sort of make the choice to go to university rather than do opera as a career, it meant that I had this like early sort of fascination with and reason to be on stage. I didn't like opera very much. It's not a great life. So that ended up being much more like usable in musical theatre because there was more musical theatre to do. So I ended up being really influenced by that, and I did a million shows when I was like a kid, and sort of up to the age of about like 25, sort of 26. I was really constantly in theatre. Took a couple of years break when Fellowship started, and just poured that inspiration into the band. Yeah. Awesome. So you put out like 2 albums in 2 years, and I know that some of the first album came out in 2020.
3 years, right?
Wasn't Saberlight 2022?
Oh, it might technically have. Yes, it technically was. It technically was, yes.
I remember finding... Oh, there's a story there?
Oh, yeah. We finished the Saberlight Chronicles in like January 21. And we had to wait nearly a full year before we could release it.
What?
Yeah, like basically just label hell. I won't go further into it than that. But like, we were signed to a label, and that fell through last second, and that meant that all of the plans for release fell through, and we had to fit into a different schedule. Scarlet, bless their souls, came and basically like saved us from like being in like endless release hell. I don't know if you've ever heard of bands that have like had a record ready to go, and it's been like almost released, and then they haven't been able to, and it's been like trying to slide it into somebody else's schedule, and it just never quite fits. That was kind of the way. And Scarlet just picked us up and were like, we got you guys. So yeah, we sat on that album for nearly a full year. And that's why it was so long, because we kept adding songs to it.
So I know that like there's a very classic story of this. I don't know how popular they are in the UK, but American like Exodus, the thrash band.
I don't know them. The story that I know is Head Automatica. They were like just a pop punk band when I was a kid, but like their third, fourth album, whatever it was, never found the light of day. It's just been in a vault somewhere for 15 years.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Wait, wasn't that like a Wu-Tang thing with that pharma CEO?
Yeah.
So Exodus, they were one of the, like, Kirk Hammett was in them before Metallica.
Yeah.
And they had what was considered by, like, actual thrash fans, not by, like, people that just know Enter Sandman, to be one of the best thrash albums ever. Take it from me, it's great. It was recorded, entirely done until, I think, mid-1984. And imagine dropping a super influential thrash album right then, and then the label sat on it for a year.
Yeah.
And then by that point, Ride the Lightning had already come out, Megadeth and Slayer. So it was still kind of the first wave. But if they had gotten there first... Anyway, sorry to divert. Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. And yeah, I guess, how many songs are going to say about? Like 13? 13. Yeah. Okay. The original question was 2 albums in 2 years. No, sorry. That's great. Yeah. 2 albums in 2 years. How did you, do that so quickly? But now we know.
Yeah, I mean, we, for that entire year of sort of label hell, as it were, we were still writing. So the first ebbs of album... Once we couldn't put any more songs on it, the first ebbs of album 3 really sort of album 2 came together. And eventually they became... I think the first song was... Hold Up Your Hearts Again. I think that was the first one that was written. Don't quote me on that. Cal will know better. And then so it's also a shorter album. When we were going into album 2, we really wanted it to be like, if we're going to, we know we can't compete with Saberlight in terms of quantity. So we were trying to compete in quality. So the things that we were really looking at were the things, not necessarily the overall quality of the songs, but more we wanted to use this album as a learning process to do better at the things that we didn't feel that we personally did so well on the first record, which is we felt maybe there could be more strength in some of the bassier parts of the mix. We felt some of the arrangements could do with a little bit more orchestration behind them. Some of the lyrically, I love the first album lyrically. I'm super proud of it, but it was very tonally defined. It was in a really good box, but it was the same kind of idea all the way through. So I wanted to do a very...
Silhouette's different.
Silhouette's a little different. Yeah. But I wanted, lyrically at least, to sort of pick a different box and sit in that box. And then for album 3, I'm sure I will pick a third box. And it still has the Fellowship ideas, the Fellowship concept, the hope, the mental health, the joy and courage and all of that. But I do want to move around. And I think those 3 sort of things combined were really the ethos that drove album 2. And when we felt like we'd done those things, we were like, okay, we're done, release it.
That I don't know that I've ever heard an artist say that before. Can you teach Yari from Winter Sun that lesson or something? Yeah. Sorry. Wow, I just said that on camera. I'm never getting an interview with him. On the topic of lyrical themes, I've had this question since I think the day the album dropped, and I messaged Cal and he didn't know. He said to talk to you about it. So here we are. Second to last song on the album, A New Hope, right?
Yeah.
Yes, World Ends Slowly, then New Hope.
Yeah.
With the combination of the jingle and I think the themes, my first thought was is this a fucking Christmas song?
It does feel like a Christmas song, doesn't it?
Yeah, is it? Or is that...
It's not really a Christmas song. I haven't finished writing the novel for album 2 yet. That's still coming. But I probably could make it a Christmas song. I could probably retcon that into the end of the book. And make it vaguely Christmassy. But no, it was never intended to be a Christmas song. It was just a happy little jingle, and sometimes Cal likes to put those on bells, and thus Christmas begins,
I mean, also like November 22nd, right? U.S. thing. That's right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving is the day it's like, okay, motherfucker, it's Christmas now. That's when you start hearing Rudolph on the radio and all that.
Yeah.
Does that happen in the UK too?
Yeah, but it starts in like August.
What?
Oh yeah, it's horrible. You come to the UK, we are selling Christmas ornaments in like literally the end of summer. Like it's horrible.
Some of our department stores do that. Usually I think it waits till September, which, I mean, what's 1 month? But you don't hear like songs on the radio. Maybe you'll hear Mariah Carey once, but not like, you're not hearing like Santa Claus is coming to town.
You're getting TV adverts for Christmas in September.
I mean, it sells.
It does.
I guess just last real question I want to get to you, because I definitely want to make sure we get to see Stradivarius.
Oh, yeah.
The name Fellowship and some songs like The Saint Beyond the River, really it's just the word saint. Is there a Christian theme to the band?
No.
It's not?
I grew up incredibly religious. Full born-again, like, almost right-wing Christian religious.
There's no judgment here, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just painting a picture. I am no longer of that faith. I'm agnostic, for the record. I'm not, like, staunch in anything. It was such a big part of my life for so long, and some of my all-time favorite bands are, like, technically you would define them as Christian bands, even if they don't always sing about. They don't think like worship bands. Think like bands that occasionally write like a Christian song, or like are occasionally influenced by that. Bands like Reliant K. And it was part of my life for so long that I think it would be impossible for me to be authentic in my lived experience while I'm writing these songs without having some level of feature for these ideas of God, be that in The Saint Beyond the River, the sort of like, to me, the representation of God is like what we consider to be ethically divine, rather than a literal configuration of divinity, which is fancy words for me going like, God in The Saint Beyond the River is the things that you care about in life. It's life itself, rather than God.
Wow, I was actually expecting you to say yes, but subtle or something. The follow-up question I had to this, which maybe you can still answer given what you just told me, was, is it isolating in this scene?
Wow, a little bit, maybe. We were already kind of treading new water anyway, in that we are very openly mental health forwards. We don't really deal with the goblins and dragons stuff. We don't do outside of the novels, we don't do the narrative elements of power metal at all, really. We do the internal elements. And there aren't that many bands that do that. Certainly, I think I can say confidently, none to the extent that we do it. And whether I'd call that isolating, probably not. Everyone's super nice to us all the time, so it's very difficult to feel isolated in such a friendly genre as power metal. Everyone loves each other. If people aren't aware, like, the backstage of power metal is a bunch of friends hanging out and talking about dumb things like dragons most of the time. And everyone's super kind. I don't think we've met a single band who hasn't been, like, lovely. So I don't think there is such a, to be honest, I'm going to go on the record, I don't think there is such a thing as isolation in power metal. If you're playing live shows with other bands, like if you're recording in your bedroom, maybe. But like other than that, does it define us? Does it set us apart from other bands in terms of maybe the listening variety? Yeah, maybe a little, but I think we embrace that.
And just for the record, before we started this, Matt was having like a nice friendly 5-minute chat with the dudes from Battleborn, so can confirm that's all true. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
No worries, my friend. Let's catch Stradivarius.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Reed Mathis. I made a podcast
called The Gifts of Improvising. That's
coming out on Osiris. We talk to all your favorite improvisers.
Natalie Cressman, Marco Benevento, Tom Hamilton,
Aaron Magner,
Holly Bowling, Bill Kreutzmann, and Jay Lane.
So what, you're doing a podcast?
Yeah, doing a podcast.
So don't fear if you hear a foreign sound to your ear.
We need the gifts of improvising.
This is Lawrence Lanahan, journalist, musician, and host of Rearranged, an Osiris Media podcast about music arranging. Once a song is written, arrangers make musical decisions that shape how we end up hearing the song. And we're not just talking about adding orchestral accompaniment, like horns and strings, or doing a cover version of a song. Arrangement can be putting happy music over dark lyrics, using samples, recording all acoustic, even tiny decisions like putting an electronic loop into an acoustic song to draw your attention to an important turn of phrase. It's all arranging. Rearranged episodes are documentary essays where I use arrangements to answer some big questions, like what is a song? And what can a song become? And how can the sound of a song change the meaning you take from it? Listening this way has changed my relationship with music. Tune into Rearranged, and maybe it'll happen for you too. Learn more at rearrangedpodcast.com.
Osiris.